The Giants signed three-time batting champ Luis Arraez. How you feeling, Giants fans? And what's next? Let's break it all down on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, y'all? I'm Alan Salz. Welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, thanks to you, the #1 sports podcast network. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday, talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics with the eye test, and a little bit of fun. I'm from the Bay Area, but I live in Sacramento now, and I host a show on Sacktown Sports 1140, as well as emceeing Sacramento Rivercast games. All in all, I'm lucky enough to cover a team I've been a fan of all my life. Today, we are breaking down the Giants doing something, and it's a big thing, signing Luis Arraez to a 1-year, $12 million contract to play second base, which a lot of teams did not want Arraez to do so. So we'll break down what that means for the Giants and their lineup. What's next for the Giants? Are they done? Got to refresh my feed right now to see if they're making another move. And last but not least, what that means for Casey Schmitt. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. The Giants signed someone. The Giants signed someone. The Giants signed someone. It's not the Giants win the pennant. It's not that. Not, at least not yet. But the Giants go out there, they sign someone, and a lot of people are excited. A lot of people aren't. So we're going to break down that as well. And we have just the couple notes here, which is going to lay out what exactly the Giants were thinking and where they might be headed next. So I'll tell you this much. It escalated quickly, and real quick, how this affects the Brendan Donovan stuff, obviously, seems like that conversation is now closed. Nico Horner as well. But what did I tell y'all? Right? And this is not me trying to say the I told you so thing, but this Brendan Donovan thing was just hanging around, okay? A lot of these things, they come and they go. Luis Arraez kind of came out of nowhere, and they just went ahead and signed him. So that tells me that maybe the Brendan Donovan thing, the Giants couldn't get there with the Cardinals, so they decided to go in a different direction, and this isn't a bad direction to go. So there are a lot of people excited, a lot of people not as excited. I'm just happy that the Giants did something, and look, he's a contact guy. It's a contact ballpark, and he is a duck on the pond. Remember that when you would be playing ducks on the pond? Don't leave him on, get a hit, clap, clap, get a hit. He will be a duck on the pond for the big boppers when they do get into one, the Willie Adameses, the Rafi Devers, guys like that. All right, let's start with MLB trade rumors. This is from our guy AJ Eustace and Charlie Wright, and they give a breakdown of the Luis Arraez deal, and then of course we'll hear from Pavs as well. The Giants and infielder Luis Arraez are in agreement on a 1-year contract, according to Jorge Castillo of ESPN. Arraez will earn $12 million and is expected to play second base, according to Daniel Alvarez Montes of El Extra Base. The deal is pending a physical. Arraez is a client of MVP Sports Group. Arraez entered the season seeking a multi-year deal and was reportedly prioritizing teams that would allow him to play second base. Now he gets his wish, as the Giants will slot him in at the Keystone to round out their infield. So he didn't get everything that he wanted, right? He wanted a multi-year deal, and he wanted to play second base. So we got one of the two things that he was hoping for. Arraez passed up on multi-year offers from other teams in order to play second base, according to multiple reports, including from Bob Nightingale of USA Today. Okay, they projected, MLB trade rumors projected a 2-year, $24 million contract for him. So it matches what they had projected in terms of the value and the AAV. The addition of Arraez brings the Giants' 2026 payroll to $206 million, according to Roster Resource, nearly $30 million above last year's payroll. Their CBT payroll for 2026 now stands at $232.7 million, which leaves about 11.3 for future additions before the Giants reach their first luxury tax threshold. Arraez represents the second 8-figure signing this week for the club as they sign Harrison Bader. That was obviously last week. Arraez will add a contact-oriented bat to a power-heavy infield. Matt Chapman, Adames combined for 51 home runs. Devers added 20 in his 90 games. And Bryce Eldridge obviously is waiting in the wings as well. So a lot of strikeouts there. So they're bringing in Luis Arraez, who should do less of that. The 28-year-old is coming off a relatively poor season by his lofty batting average standards. He had 292 in his lone full season in San Diego. That mark still ranked in the top 5 in the National League, but it was the lowest of his 7-year career. Okay. Arraez has never hit the ball hard, instead relying on a ridiculously low strikeout rate and an all fields approach to rack up hits. He reached new depths with the hard hit rate in 2025, ranking dead last among qualifiers at 16.7%. His previous career low was 22.7 hard hit rate as a rookie with Minnesota. He still squared the ball up at one of the highest rates in the league, 42.6, but that doesn't mean much when you have an extremely low bat speed. Arraez's average bat speed was about 9 miles per hour below the league average last season. The defensive fit is an unsettling one, and we'll hear more from this on Pavs. Arraez earned poor grades in the field in 2023, 2024, combining for a negative 26 outs above average across the 2 seasons. He served as Miami's primary second baseman in 2023, but moved to first after getting dealt to the Padres in 2024. The vast majority of Arraez's defensive reps came at first base this past season. He posted a negative 9.0 AA, though defensive runs saved had him at a +3. Arraez will now slot in alongside Devers, who has also earned ugly fielding grades over the past few seasons. Scouts are not excited about Eldridge's defensive liability or defensive ability either. Okay, so this wasn't to sound negative at all. I'm just going through what Trey Rumors has to say, and Pavlovic is going to say a lot of these same things as well. Just to kind of round this off here, multiple reports pointed out the addition of Arraez might remove the Giants from the Brendan Donovan trade discussion and Nico Horner. The club's second baseman finished 26 in OPS in 2025. Fitzgerald, Casey Schmitt, Christian Koss handled majority of the at-bats at that position. Schmitt is the only one trending toward a role with the big league club next season, assuming he's recovered from offseason wrist surgery. Given his defensive versatility and underwhelming production at the plate, he's best suited for a utility role. Schmitt could conceivably earn second base starts over Arraez against lefties, though. His 6.74 career OPS versus Southpaws is nearly identical to Arraez. So, look, this is a positive thing, okay? Arraez isn't perfect. He would not be signing a 1-year deal for $12 million, even though $12 million is not a small amount. But he wouldn't be signing this 1-year deal if he was the belle of the ball. But he is a three-time batting champ, a 2-time Silver Slugger, and a 3-time All-Star. He's 28 years old. He's literally about to be 29 in April, so he's going to turn 29 during the season. And you know what he is, right? His career, 317 batting average. If you are an old-school baseball fan, this guy is for you. 317 batting average. His career, he's hit 36 home runs. For his career, okay? 777 OPS, 413 slugging, 363 on base percentage. Last season, he had 8 dingers, 66 runs, 61 RBIs, 327 OBP, 392 slugging, and a 719 OPS, okay? A 1.2 WAR as well. And yeah, you know, a lot of people are excited about this. I am excited about it because the Giants went and did something. And I think I know Luis Arraez is a better hitter than Casey Schmitt, or at least I know he'll be on base more than Casey Schmitt. Defensively, I don't know that he's better than Casey Schmitt. He's probably not better than Casey Schmitt, but the Giants had to make a decision and they decided to go in this direction. Based on what we heard about CJ Abrams, we'll see if anything comes out about Brendan Donovan. Was that price tag just too high? The Giants have to hold on to some of their prospects as they're trying to make their farm system better. So maybe they just had a shorter line on what they were willing to give up in a trade, if it even got that far, right? We know that they were engaged, and all of a sudden you signed Luis Arraez. So clearly something went squirrely with that deal. And Nico Horner, people were saying crazy type of trade assets to get Nico Horner. So Not sure if that's how the Cubs came correct as well, but seems like maybe that was the case. And Luis Arraez isn't perfect. I still think that we'll see some Casey Schmitt. We'll talk about that in the third segment. But yeah, this is a day where you should be pretty happy if you're a Giants fan because they did do something and they added a batting champ. They added somebody that is clearly a leadoff hitter. Now, look, we'll talk about the good and the bad throughout the duration of this show, but he's going to get on base for you. I saw this from an Athletic writer for Major League Baseball, Eno Saris, okay? And he was on with Justice De Los Santos, who writes for the Mercury News for the Giants, a beat reporter, and it was great stuff. And basically, Eno was breaking down that Luis Arraez, his numbers have dropped a little bit just because outfielders know exactly what he wants to do. That left fielder plays way more shallow than he does with anybody else. And that's really where Luis Arraez has buttered his bread, just kind of punching it to the left side. So they've taken that away. So it'll be interesting to see how Luis Arraez is able to make that adjustment as he gets out to Oracle Park and plays throughout the NOS, where he is pretty familiar as he just did it last season. Let's get to the next segment, some of the pros and cons, and what Alex Pavlovic had to say about the deal that the Giants just made. More Locked On Giants coming up. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's a perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Next segment with you, and we wanted to get to this article from the great Alex Pavlovic and what he had to say about the move. He says this, and it's titled, "Why the Giants Are Content Sacrificing Defense with Luis Arraez Contract Agreement." He says, when it comes to old school versus new, there isn't a more polarizing player in today's game than Luis Arraez. The veteran infielder is a three-time batting champion who hit .292 last year in what was considered a down year for the San Diego Padres. By some traditional measures, all-star appearances, silver sluggers, hits, his career has at times been on a path to Cooperstown. While picking up all those hits, including a league-leading total last year, he virtually never strikes out. Arraez also rates as a poor defender by all modern analytics and the eye test. He might bat 300 just about every year, but by WRC Plus, he was roughly a league average hitter last season. He ranked in the first percentile last year in hard hit percentage and bat speed. His sprint speed puts him in the bottom quarter of the league. What do you see when you watch Arraez play? That might very greatly depend on how you view the game. But it's clear what the Giants see. Arraez is their new second baseman, and while it's an imperfect fit in a lot of ways, it also is one that makes a lot of sense given how Buster Posey has rebuilt the organization over the past year. In just about every trade, and with many of their draft picks, the Giants have chased contact skills. They pulled a hitting coach from Toronto that led the league in average last year and was second to last in strikeouts. They are, to put it mildly, tired of watching the strikeouts pile up. And with this latest move, they won't have to worry about it at second base. Arraez struck out 21 times in 675 plate appearances last year. He also drew just 34 walks and showed little power, which is why he was available for $12 million on a one-year deal. The Giants know exactly what they're getting, although even with the one-trick profile, there have been extremes. Okay, he also mentions if he regains the form that he had prior to joining the Padres, it will be one of the most dangerous hitting infields in the league, joining Rafi Devers, Willie Adames, Matt Chapman, and now Bryce Eldridge. It goes on to say, of course, they might also have the worst right side defense in baseball on opening day. Arraez made just 10 starts at second base last year and has been worth negative 20 outs above average at the position over the past 3 seasons. He probably should be a first baseman or DH in 2026, but the Giants won't have that option. In that respect, this is risky. Posey believes Devers can turn into a Gold Glove caliber defender at first, and Eldridge worked hard on his defense over the offseason. Before a team filled with ground ball pitchers, that is an awful lot of hope. That's a great note by Pavs. So you're asking for ground balls to a defense that might not be great at fielding ground balls, at least on the right side of the field. Goes on to say, there are, though, ways to limit exposure. The Giants have chased second base upgrades all offseason, even though Casey Schmitt seemed deserving of a real shot, and their goal has been to turn to Schmitt as a super utility player. It's possible a young infielder now ends up in a trade, especially because there's depth in Christian Cos and Tyler Fitzgerald. But if Schmitt is on the initial roster, he'll back up second, short, and third and offer a right-handed option at first base from time to time. Either he or Cos figures to enter for Arraez late in games. This would be an interesting way for any team to build in 2026. For the Giants, it's downright fascinating. Goes on to kind of break down the team that always talks about winning with pitching and defense is chasing batting average at second base, a crucial position when Logan Webb and others are on the mound. The lineup now appears to be strong enough to compete for a playoff spot, but the clear weakness of the roster is the bullpen, and the rotation isn't far behind. Okay, I think that basically sums it up. So yeah, Pavs is essentially saying the Giants think that Arraez is worth the risk. And, you know, you get Ron Washington in there, who is a defensive guru, and he's going to work with a lot of these guys. They feel like they can figure it out and at least get by. And all you got to do at that point in time, funny enough, is what? You're looking at it like a opener and a closer dang near at $12 million. Hopefully, Luis Arraez has been on base about 2 times by the time you get to the seventh inning. And then by that time, you just make a decision and you say, hey, all right, we got to sub you out. It's the 8th inning, 9th inning, whatever it is. We got to make, and obviously the games are going to give you a little bit of more context as to when they're going to do that. If it's a 1-run game, 7th inning, you might have to pull them if you're winning. If you're losing, you might take that chance because you need them to get on base so you can try to get the lead. So I do think there is a lot of versatility and flexibility with this move, especially having all those kind of depth pieces that you do have. But going back to what Paz was saying, it is funny that Buster has been preaching this and then goes in a different direction. And I think, you know, not even to say Buster wasn't being truthful or anything like that. I think it just comes down to, well, we have a lot of issues, right? We want to focus on pitching and defense. Every team wants to focus on pitching and defense. But when we're pitching and we have defense and we're not scoring runs, you're not winning those games either. You're not winning those games either. So you had to take away from something. They tried. Okay, they tried to go get a Brendan Donovan or a CJ Abrams, and they made a decision that they did not want to spend that type of draft capital, that type of trade capital, trade assets to go in that direction. And obviously the Ketel Marte thing was never going to happen because that's in the same division. So they looked at it like this. I would think at $12 million, it is a decent amount, right? If you look at, I was just looking at the other amounts of money and other contracts that the Giants have. So here you go. Just to give you an idea, this is from Spa Track. You got Devers as far as their yearly salary. Devers at 31, Adames at 26, Chapman at 25, Robbie Ray at 23, Jung-Hoo Lee at 18, Logan Webb at 18, Adrian Hauser at 11, Harrison Bader at 10.2, and Luis Arraez at 12, then Tyler Mahle at 10. So those are the biggest contracts that the Giants have right there. So, yeah, you look at that and you think, well, Luis is probably going to be playing a decent bit, but it is a conversation to be had if it's not working out at second, you can figure something out. You can figure something out, which is interesting now. And I know it's not the time for it. It is interesting now to put Luis Arraez at second base. Why there was never a conversation about Rafi Devers. I understand that Rafi Devers was already moving from third, but if you were going to put somebody that is maybe not regarded as a great second baseman throughout the league anyway, I understand you didn't know that second base was going to be an issue for you and thought maybe you could get something more in the offseason earlier on. But yeah, just kind of curious why they just glossed over that and sent Rafi right to first base, especially when Bryce Eldridge was on the way. On the other side, one more segment with you, and we break down what's next for Casey Schmitt and continue to lay out what this could mean for the Giants for the rest of the offseason, going into pitchers and catchers reporting, and of course, the regular season. More Locked On Giants coming up. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Giants with no interruptions. Members-only Discord access and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to LockedOnSFGiants.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. If you're a true diehard Giants fan, the Everydayer All Access tier is built for you. You'll get one-on-one text access with me, all access episodes, an exclusive newsletter, and a 15% discount to the Locked On merch store. Head to LockedOnSFGiants.supercast.com to join the Everydayer Club and unlock all access. You can also find the link in the show notes. One more segment with you, and what a way to kick off February as we are back in the everyday mode. I know I was just talking about the Everydayer Club, but the everyday mode. So we'll be here Monday through Friday, and what a way to start it out. We're breaking down Luis Arraez, that signing, and what that means for the Giants. And we were discussing, the contracts, okay? So you get to the bottom of the signings that they made, and you get Jason Foley at $2 million, JT Brubaker 1.8, Sam Henches at 1.4. So they're all there at the top, right? They're all there at the top with Devers, Adames, Chapman, and then the pitchers, of course, Jung-Hoo Lee, Harrison Bader, Luis Arraez. So they're all there at the top. And obviously, Luis Arraez, that is a commitment, but it's nothing like what you would have to pay to some of these bigger names that were out there. Or if you did sign, I know CJ Abrams had, 2-3 years left of control on his deal, but some of these other guys that were probably on their way to getting paid, Luis Arraez is a bit of a discount. It's not a huge discount, but it's maybe a bit of a discount. So I wanted to take a look at the projected starting lineup, okay? And leave a comment. Let me know how these names and how this lineup is sounding to you, because, it's something that a lot of people pay attention to and, of course, are excited about. So let me go ahead and try to get into my announcer voice to give you the projected lineup. From Venezuela, I don't know why I sound like a boxing announcer. From Venezuela, leading off, the second baseman, Luis Arraez. Batting second, the first baseman, Rafi Devers. Batting third, the shortstop, Willie Adames. Batting fourth, the third baseman, El Capitan, Matt Chapman. Batting, where are we now? Batting fifth, your right fielder, Jung-Hoo Lee. Batting sixth, your left fielder, Elliot Ramos. Batting seventh, roaming center field, Harrison Bader. Batting eighth, the big boy, DH, Bryce Eldridge. And batting ninth in the squad is Patrick Bailey. I got to work on it. Okay, so this is from Talking Baseball. Obviously, we can move some things around with the positions. I don't know that Harrison Bader is going to bat seventh. That doesn't sound right to me. I think he would maybe even, I know they like Rafi at second. I know I'm old school. The two-hitter to me hasn't normally been the best hitter. It's been the three-hitter, but I know that has changed. But yeah, Harrison Bader at 7 feels weird to me. Jung-Hoo Lee, maybe it's just a swap with Jung-Hoo Lee. Jung-Hoo Lee at 5, I don't necessarily get, but not to get caught up on that. Those are the names. And it's a pretty respectable lineup. Like, to me, that lineup screams third playoff spot, at least. Not saying that they can't do better than that, but that lineup says we can get the third playoff spot, right? We can get the third wild card, we can do that with this lineup. Not sure what they can do after that, and you're going to have to put up runs because of your pitching staff and your current situation with your bullpen, but you're going to hit. You're going to put up runs. That when you look at average runs per game, you should be able to get about 4 a game. Right, 4 a game, that's going to get you, obviously, wins when Logan Webb's on the bump. That's going to get you a good amount of wins when Robbie Ray's on the bump. After that is where it gets squirrely. Okay, and obviously, their rotation, Landon Roop is going to be in the mix. Guys like that, you would think, 4 or 5 runs, you're in the mix every single game. That's what I see in that. It just gives you more stability, Arraez does, to know that you're going to be able to put something on the board. The Giants, they just got into too many situations where they couldn't put anything on the board. Then on the base paths, you could look and see, okay, we want to steal more bases. Luis Arraez is not going to help you with that, but you are going to get some help from Harrison Bader. I think Jung-Hoo Lee is going to feel more comfortable and be able to steal more bags. I think they're going to push it. I think you have to push it. That's the only way to go about this thing. So I do see where a lot of people are excited, and I'm excited too. I don't know that this is NL West, and maybe it's not NL West. To me, if you were, and let me refresh here, if you did go get Framber at this point in time, and I'm just going to check Jeff Pass, and obviously I haven't heard anything. If you did go get Framber at this time, then I would say, okay, you never know. Down year for the Dodgers, or you could be in the mix and be better than that third wild card spot, at least. Okay, nothing from passing. So we're safe there. But with the current rotation, and then you get to your bullpen, trying to figure out who the closer is, things like that, that's my biggest question mark with this, right? It's not necessarily the lineup. I think the lineup, if you had a better pitching staff, could get you in the mix for maybe a down year in the NL West, or obviously a very comfortable wild card spot and not fighting at the bottom with the Reds or whoever. So the problem is, what do you now do? And like I said, we heard that report. Just to refresh that report from last week, Framber Valdez, I haven't heard anything else. I haven't heard anything from the people that I know close within the organization. I haven't heard anything on social media. I haven't heard anything, period. So again, not sure where that came from. Hopefully it's true, but haven't heard anything, didn't hear anything over the weekend. So as it currently stands, I think this lineup can hit with a good bit of the NL West, adding Arraez, and even when Casey Schmitt does swap in there. But defensively, it is what it is. And pitching wise, I don't know that you currently have enough. And that's a bit of a problem. That's a bit of a problem. As far as Casey Schmitt, he'll be that super utility guy. We'll see plenty of Casey unless he's in a trade, right? And now the question becomes, to me, you're paying Luis Arraez $12 million, which is not a huge amount, but also isn't nothing. Are you trading Casey Schmitt to go get a pitcher? Because that's what it sounds like. I don't think you're including Casey Schmitt in a Brendan Donovan deal. Then where would you go with Luis Arraez or any type of infielder now, right? So, or even outfielder, because you got Harrison Bader. And both those guys are making just enough to where you want to get your money's worth, especially if you're the Giants. And you've said that you want to get your money's worth. So I think it would be in some type of bullpen help or even rotation help if Casey were to move on. If not, we're going to see plenty of him. Maybe not plenty, but we're going to see a decent amount of him just with how the season is going to go and against lefties and things like that. Thank you for listening to Locked On Giants. Thank you for watching Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @the_Styles Files, Styles with an I. Once again, we are back. Okay. We are back every single day for all of your Giants content. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Giants ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonsfgiants.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB. We will talk to you tomorrow. Until then, peace.